Welcome, Biophores. Here we are. We're going to look at the skull right now. And I picked one that's colored so that I can more clearly show you the different bones, where they begin and where they end. So remember, you have lots of programs that will allow you to look at this, but I wanted to go through it with you once, also in the order that it's in your book. So we're going to start out by the cranial vault bones. That's the order that you have it. And the first bone that you have here is the frontal bone. So these are the sort of brown, right color is the frontal bones. And then I'm going to rotate it, and parietal then is the green bone. It's going to be parietal. You can see it in different angles there. And temporal is in yellow, temporal. And sphenoid, this one, we're going to have to look inside the nose. That's going to be hard. I'm going to have to take the lid off. So I'm going to take the lid off for you, the top. Here we go. And I'm going to rotate it like this. And that gray region that you're seeing, all the gray region that looks like a butterfly, that is the sphenoid. So I'll point to it. This here is the sphenoid bone. If I tilt it more, you can notice how it looks like a, when you look inside too, this bottom part is also all the gray area is the sphenoid. And then we're going to go to the ethmoid. So the ethmoid is a region kind of inside the nose there. So on this, it's golden triangle that you can see here, and then you'd be able to inside the nose still see another piece of it, and that would be the ethmoid. That's funny, my cat's in the back trying to get out the door. There she goes. That's Mika. And then the occipital. So occipital is in black. It's the very posterior end of the skull here, and that's the occipital bone. Okay. This one I showed you the temporal, for example, in yellow, and then if we were to look inside, you know that it extends into the inside. So why all these names of bones for a skull? So during development, these are all separate bones that are going to migrate together, and they're going to fuse, and they're going to fuse into these structures that looks like one bone, but really they are in all these different colors, different bones that have fused together and are making up this very complex skull. So those were called the cranial vault ones. Later we're going to look at all the bones that make up the face. Okay. The regions where two of these bones come together are called a suture. Suture. So I'm going to put this back on again. And if you speak of a suture, it's where these are joining. So this first one here, without my lid falling off, is called the Coronal Suture, where the green comes into the brown. And it's coronal because it's where you wear your crown, right? This is where my skull would wear its crown. Coronal Suture. The sagittal suture, I'm going to turn it around. And this here is the sagittal suture. Lambdoidal is, let's see if I can hold it up like this. Lambdoidal is this suture between the black and the green. The Greek letter lambda is like a Y, so that's the lambdoidal suture. And you see what place I'm in? Occipital and temporal. And then the squamous suture, I'm going to put it laterally again, is this suture here, which is the border between the yellow and the green. And that is called squamous. Okay. The reason why this is so hard for me to point is because it's a mirror image. So when I want to go to the right and it points to the left, and I want to go to the left and it points to the right. So if you think I don't know how to point, it's because on the computer it's flipped. And I don't want to unflip that, because then anything that I write on the board you will see backwards. Okay, so I want to go inside now. And in the inside there are fossa. Remember, fossa is a dip or an indentation, a hole that doesn't go all the way through. So in here, there is kind of like one big swimming pool that's sort of anterior, and then a second big swimming pool that's here where the yellow bones are, and then a deeper one that's where the black bones are. So those are the fossa. So I'm going to start from the posterior. The deepest of all is the posterior cranial fossa. The middle cranial fossa is where the yellow is. And then the more shallow one here, the brown here, is the anterior cranial fossa. So it's kind of like the three dips that are inside looking in the superior view at the skull. Okay? What comes next is looking at the structures that are particular to every one of these bones. So we're going to look at, okay, we have the names of those. Now let's look at the frontal. And what part of the frontal do we have to learn? And there's only one. Parietal is only one. But when it comes to the temporal, the yellow, and the sphenoid, there are something like 8 to 15 structures that we're going to have to go over. So know that at first you go over the general names, and then particular to every one of those bones, we'll look at what those structures are. Okay, so I'm going to cut this one now here, and we'll do that. We'll start breaking it down into the particular bones in the next video. Thanks for watching.